There is a misconception that saving is only for those who earn enough, but did you know it's much more than that? The truth is, it's also a mindset. That's right, you can save with a low income, and luckily for you, we have some tricks up our sleeve. So, here are 7 hacks to save money on a low income. We all have something that costs us in life, but there's always a trick for everything. Saving money is always important when it comes to wanting a self-sufficient life. Money is necessary for emergencies and life's necessities like water, food, clothing, and things you practically need for hygiene. Having these things allows us to have a better and more enjoyable lifestyle. The reality is that money gives you the freedom to buy the things you want. Those things can be a house, a penthouse, a dream phone, a luxury car, books for entertainment, computers for work, computers for video games, or literally anything you want. Having control of your own money and independence is very important if you want to buy the things you want. However, we must bear in mind that we cannot always have the things we want instantly, but you can always work to achieve it. So, if you find it difficult to save money because you have a low salary at your job, then this video might be perfect for you. We all know that planning a budget can be extremely stressful, especially if you have a family to take care of, but you can always turn that around by starting to save and working on the methods we'll cover today. So stay tuned, because we'll talk about the 50-30-20 method, the 70-20-10 method, tips for budgeting, where to keep your savings safely, how to save money consistently in cash for the future, and generally how to avoid money problems. Do you know what happens if we don't save, or if we don't see the importance of our money? What will happen is that debts will take over our lives. Debts are like a parasite that eats your pocket from the inside. That is, at first it seems quite harmless, but when it starts to accumulate, you may find yourself in a really difficult situation. So, how can we put an end to this problem? The answer is simple. Save, save, and save. You can always have a job that pays you a decent amount of money, but the chances can vary, so I'd tell you that, regardless of the source of income you have, always make sure to set aside some money and don't make excuses, since it is possible. So, let's talk realistically. Let's say you're a student or an adult who works at a fast food chain. Now, I'm not the best at math, but the majority of the standard pay for fast food workers would be $2 per hour. Let's say you've worked a week for $5 an hour a day, which would give you a total of $10 a day. Finally, you would have an average of $70 at the end of the week. Now, you should be able to put a reasonable amount of that money into your budget plan and add the extra money to your savings. Now, the question is, how can we save this amount of money while still having the freedom to buy what we want? Well, in the following ways. Number 1, know your limits. Have a budget plan prepared for each week to have control over your expenses. A budget plan is important because it allows us to solidify that boundary that separates reasonable spending from excessive spending. We must learn to differentiate our wants from our needs so that we really only spend within our means. Number 2, always have an extra slot for the money you have left over. This can be very useful when you are short of cash, and you can have it in your pocket, wallet, car, or any other place where a small amount of cash can fit. You never know when a rainy day will come, so it's better to be prepared. Number 3, make a savings account. A journey of 1,000 steps begins with a single step. A book begins with a single sentence, and so your savings journey begins with an account. This account is important so that you have an official savings, and you can also track your progress, your transactions, and above all, your habits. The best part of all this is that you can start at any age. For example, if you are under 18, you can always count on a trusted legal guardian to help you with the paperwork, so there is no excuse. Number 4, your credit card should have a spending limit. Having a credit card is very tempting, so it can be very easy to keep swiping the credit card once you get to the mall or stores, and it's so much so that you don't realize you end up spending more than you should. So stop overspending and put a limit on your credit cards. Chances are you don't need half the things you swipe through the card, so get back to normal. Number 5, make an agreement with yourself. You always have to take into account needs over wants. Yes, on your journey towards financial education, there really is only one person you need to convince, and that's yourself. Recognize what you can and cannot let go of. And remember, you have a budget to follow. Make that agreement for your own future. Number 6. Set a goal. How much should you spend a week? How much should you save a week? The truth is that a goal can help you a lot because you can always reference it or use it for your next budget plan. It doesn't matter if the goal is big or small, because what matters is that you start somewhere. Number 7. Control your expenses. You can always track your budget by writing it in a diary or notebook. By doing so, you can find out your spending habits and the things you can work on to improve your financial knowledge. Now, on the other hand, if you think you are exempt from all this because you are not an adult, think again. The world is a broad place with many opportunities for the younger generations. So, if you want to start saving at an early age, here are some practices you can follow. Monitor your savings. You can always ask a trusted adult or legal guardian to help you monitor your savings, whether you receive some money or earn it by doing household chores. A piggy bank. This is a very adorable and cheap option for the little ones. Every time you receive an extra amount of money, or a specific amount of money, preferably from $1 to $20, you could save it in a piggy bank. You could even design it yourself. Isn't that cool? And remember, this is also a way to give you inspiration and motivation to start saving for your future. Learn the importance of needs and wants. Start now while you are young, and practice the difference between buying a chocolate bar and a bottle of water. Finally, budgeting tips. Keep in mind that you should always calculate your income before putting these methods into practice. You should be able to effortlessly divide them into certain amounts once you have calculated them well. Another thing to remember is that if you have a partner or family, make sure to include them in your budget plan. Number 1. The 50-30-20 method. The 50-30-20 method is a practice where money amounts are divided into categories. It was popularized by Senator Elizabeth Warren and is quite simple and easy to handle. People who have tried it have said that this method has worked well for them, as it has helped them save a good amount of money in addition to leaving them with enough for their wants and needs. What you have to do in this method is divide your post-tax income, allocating 50% for your needs, 30% for your wants, and 20% for your savings. Now, the 20% can also be allocated to pay off your debts. Number 2. The 70-20-10 method. This could be another alternative, and this method is also quite similar to the 50-30-20 method. As always, calculate your income and then divide it into categories. The income you earn monthly will be allocated 70% to essential expenses, 20% to your savings, and 10% to your wants or to pay off your debts. Well, that's all, and I hope you have learned an important lesson with today's video. It's true that money almost always represents a problem, but we must always find a way to solve it. It doesn't matter if you start saving using a plastic container, a piggy bank, or opening a bank account, saving is saving. So if you always decide to save, remember the rules and basic concepts you've learned in today's video. Thanks for staying until the end, and if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to comment below. Always remember to save and never take money for granted.